What could be said of the Shadow Warrior franchise? Since being rebirthed in 2013 by Polish developer Flying Wild Hog, Shadow Warrior has carved its path forward in a niche of crazy, hectic arena shooters. And Shadow Warrior 3 doubles down on that. And though the game fails to offer an experience of the heights of Doom Eternal, a game it's clearly inspired by, what it does provide you with is a respectfully brief, zany, and pulse-pounding trek across a demon-infested, dragon-ruined world. So, let's get into it. The story starts with Lo Wang wailing in a tirade of anguish and disappointment, struggling to understand how he, the greatest assassin in the history of life, failed to kill the dragon demon god currently laying havoc on the world. He's soon approached by Zilla and appeals to Wang's need to save the world by using the chi power still dormant in the mask of Hoji, the god and Wang's eventual friend from the original 2013 remake. From there, Wang hacks and slashes his way through demon hordes once again in an effort to save the world, once again. So, let's begin with a couple of the positives. First, the art style and graphical fidelity of the game are great. Playing this on the Xbox Series X was nice both aesthetically and from a performance standpoint. I'm sure if you were to run this on a PC running an RTX 3070 or an RX 6900, you'd probably have an even better experience, at least in theory. Second, the gameplay is fast, frantic, and fluid. Double jumps and dashes mixed with gunplay and swordplay marry seamlessly together, and they've done nothing but refine it from the previous two entries. Indeed, this is Doom's Japanese cousin, except this cousin probably just got done mainlining heroin. The last positive I'll mention in this review is that they stayed true to the voice of the protagonist, Lo Wang. This is, of course, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective. Lo Wang is a wisecracking, juvenile, and overall shallow death machine of a man. The jokes are hit or miss, mostly miss, and there can be times that his voice can be obnoxious and grating to listen to. And that's who he is. That's not to say he's absent of depth or growth, because he has them both. But that's not his character, and I can at least give Flying Wild Hog the nod for keeping Wang that way, and not opting for a more Western, stoic protagonist that speaks in riddles. Now, on to the not so positives. As far as a package of content, the game is basic. The main story tops out at around 5 hours, which I like as it aims to respect my time. However, if you're going to make your game's main story 5 hours, you've got to find other areas of the game where you can add value. And this is one of Shadow Warrior 3's main failings. First off, where the are all the weapons? Throughout your journey in Shadow Warrior 3, you'll have access to 7 full weapons. Of course, there's Wang's signature katana, the outlaw pistol, sidekick SMGs, and so on. There are also weapons in the game called gory tools, which are essentially body parts you can rip off of enemies to use as weapons whenever you use your special ability. So including those, we're looking at, 11 weapons? Well, how many weapons were in Shadow Warrior 2? Don't tell me, I'll tell you, there were 80. Not only does the previous entry have 8 times as many things to kill demons with, it has exponentially more ways to upgrade your weapons and characters in order to do so. Those of you familiar with Shadow Warrior 2 will remember using gem slots. These slots allowed you to add gems that would alter your weapon's fire mode and ammo types. This enabled you to make some weapons fire slower but do more damage, or you could add elemental effects that would do more damage to a specific enemy type. In Shadow Warrior 3, you must collect orbs. These orbs can be spent to upgrade your weapons or character to the next level, which will include some predetermined buffs. It's not the worst system in the world, just pales in comparison to how free you were to build out your Wang in the past. Oh yeah, I mentioned enemy types. Well, Shadow Warrior 3 does this cool thing where they barely have any. Most of the enemy hordes you face will be the same until you reach the boss of the level. Another negative is no co-op. Though this isn't a huge deal for me, seeing that the game's main story has been cut by more than half in the previous entry, it would seem reasonable as something to include that would give people a fairly decent reason to jump back into the game again at some point after completing it. And remember how I said performance for me was fine? well, your experience may vary depending on where you play it. Hell, if you check out the reviews on Steam, there are plenty of people mentioning the bugginess and crashes they're experiencing with the definitive edition now, a year plus nearly after the original Shadow Warrior 3 release. So what's the verdict here? Though Shadow Warrior 3 provides an enjoyable though brief fast-paced first-person shooter experience, the major pullback of RPG elements, repetitive enemy types, and a general bare-bones package doesn't make for a compelling purchase amongst the sea of other shooters out there. If you enjoy the world and lore of the Shadow Warrior series like I do, and you're looking for a quick game to blaze through, then maybe give this a look. But that's the highest recommendation I can give it.